Hi, I'm Alex, and you're listening to Beyond Business, the podcast where we tell the human side of business. In this episode, sustainability and specialization in consulting. Today's guest is Nicola D'Avino, Senior Associate at BCG. This episode is possible thanks to our partnership with JET, a student organisation that is part of ESCP, a business school in Europe. As some of you may know, JET offers management consulting services to companies in Italy and across Europe, and we have teamed up with them to bring you exclusive guests. In this episode, Nicola talks about three key pillars: the meaning of purpose, the trend of increasing specialization in consulting, and third, the moral duty of sustainable consulting. Have a look at the show notes if you want to jump to a specific topic. I hope you enjoy the show. Remember to follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, and if you like the show, write a review on Apple Podcasts. They really help. And now, I bring you Nicola D'Avino.
Yes, I think we can get started also. Maybe Nicola, tell me a little bit about what do you think? If we talk here about sustainability, specialization, what really brings you here? And tell me a little bit about the journey there yourself.
Okay, so excellent introduction as usual, Victor. So thanks. So first of all, IO, and thanks to the JET Association for inviting me to this event. I would structure today's session along these three themes, basically, which are pretty hot topics in the consulting industry, and that highly recalls the 3 points before mentioned. So first is the meaning of purpose, which was a point that David had to cover, but I'm happy to cover him for a while. The second is the increasing trend of specialization in the consulting industry, and I'll explain a little bit what I mean about that. And the third one is the moral duty of sustainable consulting. So these are basically the three, because actually it's a moral duty that we have. These are basically the three pillars of today's discussion, but I will rather keep it, I don't want it to be a monologue. So let's try to make it short, and then we can also involve all the audience, because I see many people connected. So these might, before starting, these might also be, and I hope, a further way for the JET Association to further aspire towards an impactful and value-added operating model, and well beyond conventional university associations or a mere CV filler for all the members to join it. But I really hope that this is just the starting point for the whole association to start bringing these association to the next level. So purpose is the first, just to cover David, that unfortunately had an unforeseen on its current project. So the CEO of Bright House said once, when you go to bed at night and basically you're worried about something, that is generally your mission. But when you wake up in the morning and you're really excited about something, well, that's your purpose. And these are basically two different things, completely different, even though the difference is subtle, but it's something that BCG, because I'm working for BCG, but in general, the consulting industry is pushing on. In 76 actually, Bruce Anderson, our founder of the BCG, wrote about the purpose of BCG, where he highlighted basically that the most important contribution that each of us can make, each of us, meaning of consultants, is the dedication to the task of optimizing client contribution to the society. So, and how BCG tried to do that, basically through the enforcement of 5 pillars. I don't want to bother you with all the values of BCG, so on and so forth. But actually, one of my favorite is grow by growing others, for example. And this is something that I see extremely important in my professional life, but also in my personal life. So grow by growing others is something that that actually really brings purpose to the next level. However, as I said, without bothering you with theoretical concepts for purpose, why not sharing with you a common framework that BCG defined, a methodology for enabling clients and companies to find their own purpose? Because basically this is what we do. We always convert our values, our ideas in best practices, but also in commercial offerings for our clients. So BCG defined the framework for basically managing the concept of purpose along four pillars. The first one is discover. So how does an organization identify its purpose? Many times companies really struggle of why am I doing that? Why am I selling this product, or why do I exist? And I know this sounds crazy, but it happens. It happens also at top management level. So basically, the first is to discover. So identify the purpose of a company, and what do we aspire to be and to do? What would the world lose if we were gone tomorrow? This is not something easy to answer, and this is the first step of the general framework of defining the purpose for a company. Once you have defined what's your purpose, and basically you can do it also through interviews, surveys, and this is also something that I suggest to do. You then have to articulate it. Articulate it in what sense? Basically, the organization, the company, the association develops and communicates its purpose statement to the whole employees, so to internal and external stakeholders, through stories, communication plans, so on and so forth. But this is not enough. And this is where basically most of the company stops at just, how can I say, communicating to the public that they have a purpose. But then this is similar to the greenwashing topic, in a sense. But then you have to activate it. So it means that once the purpose is articulated, it's time to roll it out. And this is basically where the majority of purpose statement stops. Leaders need to become personally invested in the organization purpose. And this is something that I define as the tone from the top strategy. When something comes from the top and then is cascaded through the whole company. Once this is basically activated in a sense, so that once we know why we exist, we have communicated from the top, then we have to embed it. And this is the most difficult part. So now we have to define in the internal company some processes that actually enable internal people and let people from the external audience understand why do we exist. I know it seems something pretty philosophical in a sense.
It does indeed.
I know it seems, but this is actually something that is at the heart of creative consulting, let's say, creative contents, and probably that's why David wanted to share with you these kind of concepts, because everything which is out of the box sometimes is perceived as stupid, but it's not. And top management, trust me, they really like this kind of topics. So the first pillar of today's discussion, because I want to basically synthesize my 3 points in 3 pillars for you guys. The first pillar of today is both in your personal and professional life, seek always for your purpose and embed it in everyday life. This is not easy. Don't let the purpose be paranoid in your thoughts. Try to activate it and embed into your everyday activities. And trust me, this is not rambling philosophy, but it's rather true reality. So just to cover a small part of the speech of David. But that is purpose, and I invite all of you guys to go through public, basically publication of BCG, where they speak about these purpose statements and purpose framework. that's the first point. The second is the second topic of today is the specialization. So in my opinion, my modest opinion, I've been working in consulting since 3 years now. Not that much, but the consulting industry is increasingly getting more and more complex in the solution it offers. In what sense? Like many years ago, BCG was just a bunch of all-rounders treating more or less business plans, inorganic growth plans, market entering consultancies, so on and so forth. So more or less always the same typology of products. Today, as the economy grows, and we know that the economy grows, even though in Italy it seems a bit struggling and a paradox, but yes, it grows. Organizational complexity grows, and with it, also competencies get deeper inside the boundaries of a company. Just name and just count the number of people employed. Just name and count the number of departments newly born. And actually, as complexity in the organizational boundaries increase, also threats and opportunities increase. So this is basically converted in what? In a great opportunity for consulting to enter and to provide additional value. In my view, basically, see the economy to grow as the universe. No, it's a kind of slow and continuous expansion, whose effect on the consulting industry are for sure exciting. I'll name you some examples. As of today, I made some projects on really high-level topics, business plans, market entry. Yeah, fine. But at the same time, I also worked on topics I would have never imagined to work on. And with profiles, trust me, with profiles and resources I would have never imagined to meet professionally. I'll name you an example. I'm working for a luxury Italian automotive manufacturer on a cybersecurity topic. I don't know nothing. I don't have any clue about cybersecurity, for example. And actually, I'm currently working and constantly interacting with experts on the supply chain, but also with cybersecurity experts. I'll name you an example. I'm working with an ex-hacker from the Israeli nation state. I mean, this is crazy, you know. This was an hacker. He was attacking and bombing, like data bombing, data storage networks of companies and stealing information from other nation states, and now is working with me on a project. So, and this is something that probably many years ago would have never happened. It's a bit strange, you know. I mean, I'm Nicola D'Avino. I studied finance. I was always working in finance, and then suddenly in January, once called me my partner and told me, "Look, from tomorrow on, you'll be working with hackers on something which is completely outside of your comfort zone." So this is to say that as company complexity increases, also consulting opportunities increases, and this is the beauty of actually specialization. Because what do we mean by specialization? It means that consulting companies need to be prepared to consult and to advise our clients also on topics which are a bit strange, because if not, you lose market. If not, you lose market. And this is also a way for consulting companies to increase their competencies and to increase their accrued knowledge and value. Another example, BCG entered, for example, the market of digitalization like crazy. I mean, we have Gamma, we have data scientists, we have Platinum, IT design architecture, we have digital ventures. These are all complementary consultants profiles, which bounded together with the traditional consultant like me, give to our clients a real value added. And this is what I mean by specialization. It means that we are not providing them anymore just a couple of slides, some numbers, and then the logic behind, so like all-rounders and strategic consultants of the 80s. No, we are providing vertical consultancies, which we are not providing them directly because I don't have the competences, but bundled with experts, with people that know, then the value added is completely different. So the second pill of today, I know it's strange to translate everything in pills, especially during this COVID crisis. I mean, so the second pill of today is that during your academic journey, guys, and this is something I experienced also on my skin, honestly. Do not stick on what courses teach you. I know this is tough, especially at the ESCP, because you enjoy now during private courses, COVID crisis, probably not, but in general, yes. But you never know what project you might be staffed on, or in general, what kind of topics you will deal in the future. So be as much as multifaceted as possible and seek always for something new. This for sure might help during your professional career. And this is something I experienced during my also my academic life. I mean, I was studying new topics that then turned on me as a competitive advantage over my peers. So this is the second pill. Then let's get to the core and to my favorite topic. But I will spend just let's say 5 minutes because I also want you to ask questions if you have any. Because if
we
not,
have quite a lot. Don't worry.
if not, it means that I'm boring. And
no, I have to really tell you, I'm not interrupting you because I'm fascinated, and I think it's a great way for us to hear a little bit from you, and I really quite enjoy it. So please proceed and tell us more.
Great. So the third topic is sustainability. I mean, now it is really how can I say, a buzzword. It's a buzzword. Everybody's talking about sustainability, but no one really knows what sustainability means. I mean, what do you mean sustainability? In what sense? Actually, what I believe, and that BCG for sure has a moral duty of steering and advising its clients towards sustainable business models, also for reputational issues. We have seen some competitors doing something from a reputational side which was not the best. And it might happen also to us. But honestly, we have a moral duty of advising our clients in steering their business models towards something which is sustainable. But sustainable, what we mean by sustainable? Sometimes by sustainability, we cover a lot of topics, but I rather synthesize sustainability in the acronym ESG, right? Which is the environmental, the social, and the governance. Now let's talk about governance for a moment. What we care most, and what companies and consulting industry should focus on and are focusing on, are how can I advise a client in being environmentally friendly, and how can I advise a client in being socially friendly, socially sustainable. Focusing on the E, because if not, it will take ages to talk about all the topics. Focusing on the E, which is environmentally friendly. What do we mean by environmentally friendly? Consumption of plastic, biodiversity, CO2 emissions. So you have many topics on which we as BCG have a duty of supporting our clients towards the minimization of all these impacts on the earth. And personally, during the last year and a half, I personally focused on, for example, climate change topics. Sometimes people say, what do we mean by climate change? I mean, how can what is climate risk? Actually, before was rather a kind of philosophical thing, but now people are getting aware of the real risk of climate change, and in 2016, the Paris Agreement, the so-called Paris Agreement, major member states of worldwide united all together and decided that the average temperature increase in the next years shouldn't increase more than 2 degrees. Now, this is basically Arabic for you, right? I mean, what does it mean? It means that if we increase, if we keep emissions level at stable levels, the temperature would increase more than 5-6 degrees, and this would have drastic impacts on what? On our Earth, on our future, guys, because we are the generation impacted. And these, how can it be translated in the consulting industry? I mean, see it from my point of view. I'm a consultant. When I do the business plan of a bank, or when I do the business plan of, or when I support my clients doing it, because we don't do it, we support them. When we support our clients during these strategic projects, we need and we have a duty of taking care and including into our decision making these topics. Emission side, for example, focusing on climate change, which is a small piece of the E. Focusing on climate change, for example, consulting companies are focusing all the mid-long-term strategies on basically decreasing and bringing companies to the so-called net zero strategy, net zero emission strategy. So decarbonization, bringing companies in, minimizing, if not netting to zero, their emissions. And this is something that has a huge, huge impact on oil and gas companies, utilities companies, manufacturing companies, and you basically see that just from saying sustainability, everything converts into something which has a huge impact on the economy. On my personal side, I'm focusing on banks, for example, because the president of the European Central Bank, for example, in one of the last conferences on climate change, she said that we as a banking industry, we are responsible of facilitating the transition towards a low carbon economy. Banks have the responsibility of stopping the financing towards high emissive companies, and have the duty of pricing and rewarding those which have a positive impact on the environment. And as consulting, we have to advise our clients on how should they basically implement all these kind of things. So just to conclude, actually, BCG, it also established a couple of years ago the BCG Center for Climate Action, for example, and partners with businesses and governments to help them prepare for a decarbonized world, they say, supporting as they drive technological and economic transformation. So this is something huge in the consulting industry. And and my last pill, so of today, for you guys, the last bit of the day is that just keep in mind that we are the generation of the game changers. This is reality. We are really the generation of the game changers because these kind of threats have a time horizons which stands until 2050. So in 2050, we will be 60 years old, 65 years old. We might be, hopefully, the leaders of the future, and our children would be drastically impacted by this. So we are defined as the game changer generation, and we probably need to fight the the most dangerous natural change the human race has never faced. That's in your both personal and professional life, always keep in mind that whatever we do, we need to support the transition towards a better and more sustainable future. And this is something that I really appreciated about Jet. How I just saw ESG solutions in one of the boxes. I know probably this is that box was there just for marketing, okay? Because I know how Jet works.
Yeah.
Still, that's the right approach. And my final advice then is just to are three and are connected, just to connect the dots around these three points. The first one is Jet should find its purpose. Jet has it, but for sure can do even more. Second, specialization. The increase of products and of product offerings that Jet is offering is huge, is amazing. Just enable it. Just go beyond what's just the, how can I say, the CV filler, how I define it. And the third, try to focus and push on sustainable topics, because for sure it will come as a boomerang in your professional career. So these are my 3 pills of the day. For sure there's not the vaccine, but for sure you will spend the Friday as well happy, even without my pills. But I hope that at least they were interesting. So
no, Nicola, I really have to thank you. It's a pleasure to hear you speak about these topics. I have to tell you that in a bunch of ways you really do fit in with the Jet crew. It's quite happy to have you in this family. Not only do we have the moral duty that you speak of when it comes to topics of sustainability, to work towards sustainability, also in our professional life. I'm quite fascinated when I see you passing from an MA, risk management, experiences in ESCP, experience in Jet, over to becoming now a senior associate in BCG. And I think it's for me it's great to hear the path that you chose to take, and I do really appreciate also the things that you say about Jet. You're right. For us, the purpose that you spoke of before goes further than just the value and the mission that we showed you before, right? There was a reason that I put these on the slides today, and it's I think it's important also that we look back 1 year ago. I remember being with Matti and talking with him about the real purpose of Jet, that it really, exactly what you say, should not be a CV filler of any kind. And that is also the words that we internally speak with each other. These things we're quite open with. And it's for us important that we see ourselves really as what we are. And we are at a university where we are connectors. We connect in Europe. We are all internally, we're all the time spread around the continent, even further. And there are also quite a lot of people, from specialized masters to bachelors to people who have worked in entrepreneurship and other industries. And from the beginning on, we believed in this international, really this family that is behind this, and also really the purpose and really the moral duty that we also feel. And that's what we really connect with in our generation, the moral duty to go and push consulting also ahead. And when I look at what you went through in your past, and the way you shifted with your career also, and the way you've been working your career, I think it really speaks to me, and I'm quite happy that you bring up these topics. I really hope that we will be able to do ESG topics in a manner that we planned to do them. For me, it's also personal importance to work not only in social actors and supporting projects and social matters worldwide, also looking further than Europe, for example. We interact, for example, also with a good friend of mine from Nigeria, and it's quite a journey to really work with people that social entrepreneurs that really push forward with ideas and have a clear focus, and to really connect this as a purpose of JETS, to see that we can really connect actors here now, people who are working, consulting, interested students, people that really are interested and fascinated by sustainability also. And I'm quite happy that you speak up about these topics. If I have one question for you, Nicola, and that's also something that I think is something that you already know that I'm really a little bit interested in, but if you really look at your influences in your career in consulting, what were really influences and impacts that brought you into the direction of sustainability? Was your personal interest? Were you able to figure and to find your way, or did you have a mentor, or how did you interact with other people about this topic?
This is a really good question, though. And actually, this is also the beauty of consulting, because I mean, I always had an inclination of, trying to be polite and trying to be in a modest way, well educated, and pushing towards, I don't know, an environmentally friendly environment. But I mean, my name is not Greta, so I was honestly an average guy with some conscience, but no more. Then, and probably if I continued my my professional path somewhere else, I would have remained the same level. But actually, what I have honestly, what I have to give BCG is this kind of being open-minded and to be always on the top of new topics. So my career naturally inclined towards that direction because it became a priority for companies. So if this becomes a priority for companies, and actually if it becomes a priority for the economy in general, then it becomes a priority for BCG. And if it becomes a priority for BCG, it becomes a priority for the MDs. If it becomes a priority for MDs, it becomes a priority for the PLs. And if it becomes a priority for the project leaders, then it's basically what you dream every night as an associate rather or consultant. So it's actually something that came top down. Then honestly, I got engaged, personally engaged to the topic. I mean, I bought the book of Bill Gates. I mean, no one told me to buy it. I'm not supposed to read it. But then I got personally engaged to the topic. So and my passion also, my view on me, myself in the future is not only now transposed on I'm going to work for an asset management company, I'm going to stick to the consulting industry, I'll probably move back to M&A, blah, blah, blah. But now a huge world is opening now in my eyes, which is what about supporting the whole economy? Firstly, the local, which is the Italian, and then why not European, towards a more sustainable economy. This was something before BCG would have never come to my mind. Now, probably yes, which is completely different from the career I was picturing in, like let's say a couple of years ago. So let's to ask to your question. Where does it come? It's a mix, and it's honestly thanks to the vision of BCG. Then enlightened me and also brought me to a personal interest towards these topics.
That's great to hear. I've honestly to say, enlightened you. That sounds quite a big of an impact there. It's a pleasure also for me. It's also speaking from my personal experience, being able to work with projects also that involve purpose, and where it's clearly you can really feel that more and more people understand that purpose. If you look at ESG, if we look at also the rise of CSR, if we look at a variety of factors that drive and show different perspectives in the field of sustainability when it comes to social impact, and it's always, I really have to say, when these things come up, it's really a pleasure to work on these projects. And I can really see how this drove you into a direction of really being not only focused about it, but also dreaming about this in a way that, and in the sense that you could see this really help not only Europe, as you say, but also Italy. And I can really see that being really an interesting path. It's something that I'm really happy to hear that you engaged with. Great, I love it. I really have to tell you that is something that I'm quite happy to hear. If you can share a little bit also about purpose companies. I'm not sure if you want to, as I understand that it was also David's part. But how do you view it also in the consulting industry, the role of it in the consulting industry? Do you believe that in the next years it will be something that will really drive most of the top performing companies having a purpose, or how do you see this?
I mean, I'm not a specialist of purpose consulting because it's actually how can I say, this is something that we are offering to our clients in a way, but I don't really I'm not really an expert on that. But honestly, I believe it's a real hot topic for today's companies, and it's rather than how can I say, applying these kind of principles to product definition, to pricing strategies, so everything concerning the real commercial strategy of a company, it's more inside the boundaries of the company. So it's also to how can I say, incentivize your employees to wake up in the morning happy, and let's say to let them believe in something which is not only I work my 8 hours, I earn something, and then I spend it and stop. But I see my job just for a job. But rather translating these this way of working into something that I don't know, you're really engaged. So for sure, it's something important. And guys, for sure, this is an hot topic today. Nowadays, now that we are living a crisis, a deep social crisis. So honestly, I don't think it's the real competitive advantage, but it's a huge support that a consulting firm can provide. Absolutely. I rather see as a competitive advantage what I was talking before on sustainable sustainable solutions. That one, yes. That one is basically a risk, but it's also a huge opportunity for companies because they can actually enter some markets which are currently rising up. So yes, that might be the source of competitive advantage of the next years.
It's super interesting to hear. I have to say we have the first guest that honors us with a question, if I correctly see that. Varalika?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for your speech, Nicola. I had a question. So, you mentioned that people, like companies, should be looking towards specialization, and also about sustainability in terms of sustainable business models. So, the two questions are: first, if people are looking towards specialization, should the incoming should the people, young graduates going into companies, look towards specializing in something, or more like, how it is traditionally that you learn in general and then you go towards specialization? And second question is, should sustainability be a specialization, or it should be there across all domains? So those are the two questions which I had.
Okay, if I got it correctly, I mean, for sure, during your undergraduate studies, guys, you cannot really specialize in something, right? You're just the beginning. You have just started studying financial topics. So my overall and first suggestion is fix the basics, because if you want to build a set of huge skyscraper and and villas and different flats, you need to have a solid ground. So fix the ground, and then afterwards, you can try specialize in something. So on top of what your studies, basic studies provide, my suggestion is try to study, self-study on your own topics which you would never learn and study on the during your courses at the university. And this was something I experienced during my academic life. 95% of the knowledge that I gathered, that I extrapolated from the ESCP, experience was when I was studying. I was studying for interviews, so something completely uncorrelated from the courses. And I did just at the first year more than 200 interviews with a really low level of acceptance, though. Because I just got one job, so out of 200. No, but honestly, try to study as many topics as possible outside the boundaries of your studies. And I mean, I'm free to give you any suggestions on what kind of topics you should cover, but I'm biased. I'm totally biased, and for sure, the first thing I would suggest you is to why not get a knowledge on the climate change and the climate risk in general, but more as something that we all need to have in our heart, in our brain, because every day every people contribute to a manner in solving this crisis, this global crisis. I don't know if I really answered your question, though. But please integrate if I was losing something. Baralinka.
I think so. She's still here, I think.
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. I thought I would put it in the chat. So yeah, you did. It gives me some sort of clarity as to like how to proceed.
That's just a really, really polite answer. So.
No, but like because I'm not an undergrad student. I'm doing my master's, but then because I come from engineering, I don't really have that much experience. But it does give me an idea that, you know, maybe reading up on certain things can give me a clarity as to what I want to specialize in.
But that's already, I mean, you come from an engineering background. That is already something great. You're really diversifying your competences and trying to, let's say, covering most specialized topics as possible. I mean, that's a great approach. So, but please fix the financial background.
Yes.
I'm joking.
No, but I think also thank you for the question. Quite happy to hear these questions. I also have to say, if I can say a few lines to this, also that's what we kind of in JET believe. In the end, it's not only studying, but really getting engaged. So really, what I always say, yeah, getting your hands dirty. So really try also and feel and try to understand yourself. If you learn also a lot, if you maybe engage with the consultancies, or if you engage in junior enterprises, or want to already start to practice a little bit, whatever it is that drives you. So not only I think the specialization in academic terms can be quite interesting, but also really in a sense, yeah, start something if you feel like it. But thank you for the question. Should we engage with some more people from the audience? What do you think, Nicola?
Sorry?
Should we engage a little bit more with the audience and let some questions?
Sure, guys. I mean, I freed my agenda for you guys. I would work tonight and I will work tomorrow, but I think it was worth it. So
that is an honor. That is an honor. Okay, then let's go through some more questions. I think Damilola, you were the first one, right?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. Nice to see you here.
Yeah, nice to see you, Victor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I do. So I'll just go straight to my question now. All right, so today
Good evening.
speaker is okay. So I am Daniela Balogun, and I'm really passionate about sustainable development and youth development. So I have been able to work over time when it comes to youth and sustainable development. And so when it comes to that aspect, it's still an aspect I'm learning in. I must tell you that because I'm actually making research and then I'm trying to learn through the initiative I founded. So the point really is, my question really is that in what way do you think that through the ESG we can get educate and then involve more youth in sustainable development? Because a lot of people just see, to be honest, a lot of people don't understand the whole concept of sustainability, as you said. So the point really is a lot of youth seeing that we are the future, seeing that we are the game-changing generation, as you said. So how do you think we can involve them more in taking huge actions towards achieving sustainability at large? Because actually, I think it's beyond just conferences and all that. So I think it's going to be important to be able to learn from you as a professional. Few tips on how we can actually involve you in achieving sustainable development. I mean, practical steps.
This is so Domino. Thanks for the question, though. It's a really good question, and honestly, I believe it's also a noble thing that actually that you are doing. So that actually you're interested in how we should basically make more responsible the youth generation towards sustainable topics. For sure, the first steps is I mean, when this comes to my mind, when you have to educate a person, there are to make it extreme, to educate a child, you have two ways of doing it. You either try to convince him and convince him in a really gentle and soft way, or you scare him so that he will never do it again. So the first way is a soft way of leading, let's say. So it's rather leading, exactly. The second is commanding or scaring a person. I think that as of today, the youth generation is not ready enough or is not mature enough to be educated, but rather it has to be scared. So in practical terms, young people do not understand and do not know what would be the risk of not going towards an environmentally friendly world. So that would be the first practical step. So to make people responsible, we need to let them understand what's the risk behind. So what would happen if you don't contribute towards making a more sustainable economy? What does it happen? What does it happen if your company, because sustainability is not only environmental, right? What does it happen if your company still discriminates human race? What does it happen? So on and so forth. So the first step would for sure be educate people towards the consequences of not going towards a sustainable model. And the second practical example, I know probably it's a really stupid answer, mine, but I'm trying to go to improvise my answer. But the second is basically to present people also the benefits of going sustainable. And honestly, the most important benefits that comes to my mind, guys, is just the survival for what concerns the environment. We don't have many chances. I mean, it's easy to educate them. The benefit is the survival. our survival, especially the survival of our future generation. So the practical example is start educating. Then, I mean, Nicola, we can also speak offline of this because I don't want to bother the whole audience with this. But yes, for sure, the first thing to do is to educate them. And this is something that the media is doing impressively, if you can see. I mean, Bloomberg, which I'm pretty passionate about, the Bloomberg media, they every day they do Bloomberg Green. So they dedicated 1 hour per day, even more actually, talking about green issues. And so the first thing to do is to responsibilize, let's say, the audience.
Nicola, thank you for the answer.
Don't worry. Yes, thank you. Don't worry.
No, were you finished? I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No. It's done. It's done. I mean,
no.
I just want to know if Damilola is fine with my answer, or if you want, we can connect on LinkedIn and talk about it offline, because probably it's not sufficient, the superficial answer that I provided you. But my pleasure to talk about it offline.
Damilola, is that okay? Is that a good offer?
All right, thank you very much for the response.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a good offer. So I'll try to connect with you.
My pleasure.
All right.
Lovely. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for this this answer and this question also, Damilola. I really quite interesting stance that you have there. Yeah, I really have to say. I think we will continue with another question, maybe one more first, and maybe Matilde, I think you were the next one,
huh? Yeah. Hello, Nicola. So thank you very much for sharing with us today. I wanted to ask you like a sort of a personal question, meaning that you said you've always worked in the banking sector and that you found yourself in dealing with supply chain and cybersecurity experts. So I wanted to ask you, how do you prepare for dealing with the project on a topic you don't know anything about in the little time you have before it starts?
You just go like 300 kilometers per hour in front of a wall. That's it. Basically, just take the fastest car you have, go in front of a wall, then you get hurt. And if you don't die, then you bring home the project. No. I mean, I'm joking, Marita, for sure. Just to break the ice a little bit. To answer seriously to your question, this is basically the secret of consulting firms, and the beauty of working for a consulting firm. Because at the end of the story, the consulting industry is not only providing you hard skills. So they're not only teaching you how to calculate numbers, how to read numbers, where do I find information, but the consulting industry is teaching you how to treat any kind of problems from scratch, from zero. I mean, you see from at the end of the story, you can see it also from the interviews that you have done. Probably some of you have already undertaken some case exam interviews. They ask you something, you don't know anything about the business, but you have a framework, right? So you try to apply that framework. But in reality, in the real world of the consulting, at the end of the story, this is what we really do every day. They teach you a forma mentis. They teach you how to structure any kind of problem. And whatever is the topic, trust me, whatever is the topic, then you will be able to fix it. Because at the end of the story, what we give to our client is just to put things in order, to give an order to things, just like a cleaning lady. You know, they come to your home, they put everything in order, and we are exactly that kind of profile. We go there, we put everything in order, and for the things that we don't know, we ask experts. For sure, I mean, this was a project, a bit senior one. There are no many juniors on my project. But yes, this is the secret and the beauty. I mean, you exactly got the beauty of consulting. You come after an experience in consulting, probably not having a specific knowledge of something or not being a super expert of a topic, but for sure with the ability of facing not all, but the majority of the challenges, starting from scratch. So, so to answer your question, how did I do? The first weeks were a bit painful, but actually just by applying these 80-20 approach, this top-down approach, that is part of the learning process of being a consultant, a formed consultant, it helps you. But this is the advantage and the competitive advantage of being a consultant. Let's say. I hope I answered comprehensively to your question, though.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's always great to hear about this approach of just really jumping into the cold water and just really learning and jumping in really into completely new topic. It's yeah, I have to say that I'm happy that this year also in JET we were able to really truly from the beginning on jump into a completely new environment. Of course, COVID was still the driver in the beginning, but then quickly we understood that this that all these people that joined us, this family that found itself over the year also, that there are lots of different ideas, different approaches, different connections and different ways to work that really was also able to influence us on the way in JET. I'm quite happy to hear and also to, of course, go through the case studies as a lot of us do currently. And yes, I think at some point also you develop a kind of excitement and the excitement just takes over. Maybe in a sense for Nicola, especially in sustainability and the topics concerning really what really is the purpose and our moral duty connected to it. But I think it's truly sometimes really something really exciting to engage.
I mean, we can also make a more deep dive session on financial topics, but it's going to be really, really boring, guys. So,
I think you might even have here quite a bunch of people who would be.
I mean, there's so much literature on that field, and that has become old style. So, no, I'm joking. Please continue, just to make some humor.
No, it's true. No, it's quite lovely, I have to say. So I believe I think we spent now quite a bit of time talking about the general topics that we want to discuss today. I'm quite happy, Nicola. Really heard quite a bunch of interesting things for you. On all, I want to use this point also at this moment to really make you all understand that we want to hear also from you. Is this a way that you want to engage with our speakers? Is this do you want to send us questions before, or can we somehow improve this bridge that we have built between our JET family? And I'm quite happy today, Nicola, for all the really interesting things that you shared with us today. So for the current moment, and you might imagine most of us starting their internships or starting even their jobs, what do you think is the number one thing, or really the core of how this new way that COVID and after COVID, post-COVID, or in general, the new way that consulting has now evolved? What is like the one tip that you would give us just on a lookout for the next few months where we'll all start to go off and get some real practical experience?
You mean on for searching a job, right? Because you're all currently you're all applying, because it's March. So guys,
I think yeah. Also, not only for applying, I think most of us already have secured one or two offers.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of people are also really now looking into what's really ahead.
No, this is a great question, and this is a topic that I face every day with my team members. So for the ones who are still applying, so they yet do not have yet job. It's not going to be easy in the next months. I mean, BCG is recruiting at a normal pace. But BCG is just is an outlier. The normal economy is not. For the ones who are searching a new job, guys, the real tip that I can give you: leverage on these kind of events. Try to network with the ESCP network. Out of 10 people, 100 people you can connect with. 1 can answer you. 10 can answer you, sorry, and 1 can actually ease you in finding an interview. So leverage as much as possible on your network, because it's not going to be easy in the next months. For the ones that have a job, that is even more complicated, probably, because actually starting from starting from working from home, it's not the best way of learning. And sometimes, for example, with my interns, I try to stay as much possible online with them, sharing my screen, explaining them things, but it's not easy. So for the ones that just started, be as much proactive as possible and try to squeeze the people around you as much as possible, because that's the only way of learning. This is meant to be our job. Going to the job, providing our how can I say, doing our homeworks, but at the same time learning from the people that are next to us. It shouldn't be just focused on he asked me a request and I did it, I implemented it. But try to squeeze as much as possible. Stress your bosses, because it's this is for 2 reasons, and then I stop because probably it's taking too much time. But for 2 reasons: for personal development, and this is important because as young people are losing days of school, you guys are losing days of work, and I'm losing days of work and potential development by learning from seniors. And the second is for concrete opportunities of being confirmed. I mean, so in general, I'm not talking about BCG, I'm talking in general. Be as much as possible close telematically to your bosses. That is the only way for facing this crisis.
It's really a tip there that you don't hear often. I have to say that a lot of times, and also when I look at the current consulting news, the changes in the consulting industry are accepted, but not a lot of people think how people that now enter the consulting industry might bring also some skill sets, might also sometimes be in the age where they really grew up with technology in a different way. And sometimes really we need to understand that we need to leverage and really work in a digital context, but really adapt ways that enable us to learn, to grow, and really to see and to witness how people in the industry work. And then maybe get also close to people that really have something really deep to follow as an interest to push forward with sustainability. Quite lovely to hear all of this, Nicola. I think we reached the end of our today's discussion. For me, it was really a pleasure. I know already that I will do this from now on more often. And Nicola, it was really a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more, to hear about BCG, to really understand a little bit what also your personal view on things is and how it has developed in the past years. So thank you really that you gift us this time and this whole evening. Really, I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot to you guys. Really, it's the right way of progressing, and continue like this. I'm impressed about the progress. So really congratulations to all of you. You're a really good team.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Nicola.
To everybody.
Ciao, Victor. Ciao, Alice.
Thank you.
Ciao, Leo.
Thank you for joining here. And don't forget also, of course, our social media pages. And I believe we will see you soon in our next call. Then bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.